Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. You got a question? Send it on over. GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. That's GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call toll free coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Let's see what we can get through to the top of the hour, Holly.
All right, so is this the beginning of early blight? I have done the corn. Okay, so the picture came with
a picture was sent in.
So
we're going to try to describe this. It is a tomato plant that has a lot of curled up leaves.
Right. So the question is this the beginning of early blight? I have done the corn mill, trimmed them up to 8 inches, mulched with the clean seasoned grass clippings. Then there's a picture of the
plant itself.
Yeah. So this, to me, looks like tomato leaf curl.
I believe that's what it would be, yeah.
Yeah, leaf curl on the tomatoes typically caused by environmental stress, not necessarily pathogens or insects. So it's not like a blight, like an airborne situation or insects.
Right.
So it's a little bit, could be anything from like too much or too little water. Nutrients can make the leaves curl. A wet spring. Also, if somebody around you is spraying something that contains 2,4-D, that can cause this problem as well.
Which is a broadleaf herbicide chemical.
Possibly if your neighbor or somebody or yourself is utilizing some sort of, it doesn't sound like he's utilizing it in like a grass, lawn, whatever that's called.
What you're meaning is somebody has applied that 2,4-D chemical on the grass to kill the broadleaves, the lamb's quarters, the dandelions, and utilize that into compost. That compost is now in the garden, and that chemical is so potent that it's still active and it's infecting your beans, your tomatoes, your eggplants, your potatoes.
It doesn't sound like that's the case here.
But I just wanted to explain it for people who are trying to understand what you were.
Yeah. I know did we have a wet spring? I think so.
We had a wet spring, but
I believe was he in Michigan? I forget, or was it Chicago area? But anyway, similar climate. And yeah, so it could be a result of the wet spring, or again, something in the air that came over. A lot of times this is seen in more urban areas because you have neighbors spraying stuff, that stuff drifts in the air and then it causes issues.
So it's kind of irreversible at this point.
Yeah.
So you just kind of let the plant grow and produce what it can, and try to alter the environmental situation the best you can next year.
That's the best plan of action for this situation with the leaf curl.
All right. Now as I see more and more posts about canning various products from our gardens, I'm wondering where people are finding the good prices on canning lids. Right now, the cheapest that I can find are more than 50 cents a piece. Where is the cost of canning? Where are you getting the cost of these canning lids so cheaply? Are you buying it in bulk, or is there a source online that you can recommend for cheaper prices so I can get more and start canning?
I think this is this can vary depending on where you live, and I think how far, what the cost of living is.
Well, also brand and cheap doesn't always mean good when it comes to canning lids.
I personally wouldn't. 50 cents a lid doesn't seem that high to me, but it makes sense. It does add up. So for canning lids, you can go to 4 jars. That's FOR jars.co. And we have a code. You can get 10% off your order if you use the code 4jars25. So that's FORJARS25, and that will save you 10%. And
you can go to our parent website under the parent website, the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.com, underneath the money tab to find all the coupon codes, and you can buy lids in bulk for a very good price at 4jars.co, and do it there. A great sponsor that supported the program this year. How can I harvest seeds from my herb plants?
So you want to allow them to flower, and then you want the flower to stay until it dries out. And typically then if you shake the dry flower head, you'll get seeds. And this is for pretty much any plant that is like an herb or a flower. Think about well,
it depends a little on the type of plant. Right. Like cilantro and dill, all the flowers parts and the seeds are right there. But for oregano, mint, basil, the other method is applicable.
It's also good to keep in mind that things can cross-pollinate, so it may not be the same characteristic of your original plants, and this can happen with herbs.
And vegetables.
Yeah.
So, cucumbers. If you've got more than one variety of cucumbers, it's best probably just to restart new seeds because they will cross. You can squash plants can cross. Zucchini and spaghetti squash can cross. So there's a lot of crossing capabilities. That doesn't mean it's a guarantee just because you have it in your garden. Doesn't mean, I know it's going to be a cross, because that doesn't cross-pollination. That doesn't necessarily mean. Now, corn, that's a whole other thing for a whole other topic, but that can be crossed with agricultural or neighbor's corn and all that other stuff. So, let's see here. I let my Russet's potato plants die all the way back to the ground, completely dead and dry, before I harvesting them. Several of them had turned to mush. Do you think I left them too long, or do I have a problem? I let my Russet's potato plants die all the way back.
Yeah, so it's this can happen because of excessive moisture and poor drainage. So russet potatoes they're long growing potato. They're about 120 days. So you would want to make sure you harvest within that 120 days. But the good draining soil is what is important. So if you have poor drainage, too much moisture, this can cause the rotting because it does inhibit the growth of fungus and bacteria.
That's the key. Whether you're planting store-bought potatoes that have sprouted, or you're planting seed potatoes that you've purchased from your farm store, your garden center, know the days to maturity. Once the plant, some potatoes will flower, but once the plant has started to die back, and let's say your potato takes 90 days to grow, and that potato is starting to die back, and it's like 85 to the 93, 95 mark, you're like, okay, I can dig them up. At the point where the plant begins to die back, the potato is not going to grow anymore. We've got potatoes up at our property, and I should have dug them up like 2 weeks ago. It's been very wet, and I'm sure I'm going to probably deal with this particular issue. This particular issue. We've got some red potatoes that were store-bought that I planted, and they got blight really bad, so they're not going to be large to begin with. But I fear that I may have the same issue as this particular person has when it comes to the mushiness of the potatoes. But yeah, dig them up. Don't need to wait until the plant completely dies back, for two reasons. One, you may not remember where they're at if you have a very weedy garden. We've got potatoes that did just this in the front yard. We're terrible gardeners, apparently. We're letting these potatoes in multiple places, forget to dig them up.
We got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know the duration of when your potato should be harvested, and then if it's supposed to be 90 days and you're starting to see issues at 45 or 60 days, then you've got a disease or a bug problem. So keep that in mind.
I extracted 200 square feet of crown rot infected rhubarb from the home garden. That's a lot of rhubarb. How do I amend the soil for
Your family would not like that.
No. How do I amend the soil for future plantings? This presents a great dilemma for me. I'm affiliated with the Wisconsin Master Gardeners, so I need help.
Okay.
So for the amending the soil for the rhubarb, the rot, crown rot, you would want to, you want to make sure you do pull out all of those plants, all of the roots or the crowns, and then as much as you can. So you want to make sure you dig all those up and get rid of them. But then you want to use either a rich compost soil, so something that is very highly dense in nutrients. So you could call like your local garden center and see what kind of rich compost that they have, or you can use a slow release all-purpose fertilizer, and whatever it says. So if it says it's good for a couple months, then you would want to apply it again in a couple months.